The question is, can the Clippers maintain their seeding where they are? They're actually in the 6th seed right now. And of course, we're a ways away from the playoffs, but every game matters, especially when you're shorthanded. Now, the only question I have is, on top of that, who's the guy they go to? Who's the one they should look for and have the green light with Kawhi and PG out? Let's talk about it. At this point, the Clippers need all the help they can get. They signed James Ennis to a hardship 10-day contract. And, it's just to basically fill a roster spot. And on top of that, to try to get some additional type scoring in there, or just an additional body there to help out, possibly on both ends of the floor. He's always been a, moderate, decent player. So, all the help they can get is what they're looking for right now. And I definitely don't blame them based upon where they are and what stage they're at right now. Looking at the Clippers as a team overall, collectively, do I still think they could win some games? I do. I still think they could win some games. I do believe they can still win some, maybe not a lot. But, if they could just, let's say in the next 10 games, if they can go 5-5 or, maybe 4-6 or something like that in the next 10 games, somewhere around there, that's actually a win for the Clippers. If they can do something like that. Not saying that they will, because the schedule is tough now. They got some really tough teams coming up. It's just going to be tough all the way around. It's just not a good part of the scheduling for, them to be without Kawhi and PG, you know what I'm saying? Of course, actually no part of the schedule of any season is good for them to be without neither one of those players. But I'm just saying right now, their schedule is much tougher going into this part closer to midway of the season, and or should I say closer to the midway of the season. And, it's getting to a point where you look at the Clippers and you wonder, can this actually work? But I've said before, the only way this is going to work for this team, of course, is health. You could say that about every team, but every team is not as deep as the Clippers. Every team doesn't have the roster that they have. Every team doesn't have the coach that they have, that the Clippers have. So when you look at that in its entirety, this team is definitely built to win, but the opportunity seems to always be taken away by some type of injury. And, that's not an excuse. That's just reality. And, a lot of people might look at that as an excuse, but it's just the injury bug has plagued this team seem like the most, more than any other team in the NBA, or at least any other contending team in the NBA seem like. So, that has to be, that definitely can't go unnoticed. And that definitely has to be looked at, because this team definitely has a high ceiling from what I've seen, based upon what they have out there. They do make mistakes at times, and sleepwalk on defense, and do a lot of boneheaded things I think they shouldn't do. But for the most part, like I said, this team is really built to do good things if they're healthy, and health has been their biggest issue. So with that being said, now that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is out for a decent amount of time, or extended amount of time, you have to ask yourself, who really has the green light? Who is Ty Lue going to give the green light to? And of course, most people would probably say Marcus Morris, just because he's the next man up, basically. I don't know if Reggie Jackson's going to return, or when he's going to return. It should be soon that he does. And, that definitely will help the Clippers in regards to their scoring. But remember, he's not, a threat on defense at all. So, really, he can only contribute on one side of the floor. But Marcus Morris, he can contribute on both sides of the floor. He's been known to be a two-way player in the league for years, along with his brother. And, I feel like what he can bring to the Clippers, if he plays the way he's supposed to, they might can get 3-4 wins out of a 10-game stretch. Just because of, he's going to take the high volume of the shots probably, and he can shoot at a high clip when he's actually engaged and, doing his thing the way he's supposed to. He can actually shoot pretty decent. I'm not saying he can carry a team or anything like that, but his scoring along with maybe somebody else's on the team or something like that who can help him. Basically, if he can score 20 plus points, if he can get an Eric Bledsoe or Reggie come back, of course, both of them scoring 20 plus points a game, that can help them win a few games. And, honestly, right now they're in the 6th seed. They're not in a bad spot, considering how their season has went with the injuries, the COVID, everything like that. They're not in a bad spot, actually, if you think about it. So, you hope that they can figure out a way to piece all this together as much as they can and keep it taped up until, your big guns come back, and so you can make a run and try to make a run at the championship. So, that's definitely warranted there and should be looked at that way. Now, me personally, if you ask me, I personally think everybody should have the green light on the Clippers. And what I mean by that is whoever is hot that night, I don't care if it's Brandon Boston, Jay Scrubb, or Marcus Morris, or Nicholas Batum, whoever's hot that night, that's the guy you should go with. Because honestly, depending on one specific guy like Marcus Morris, we've seen his inconsistency. We just hope that it goes away in a situation like this where he's really needed more to be the guy to have the green light and take the most shots and actually, knock down big shots when the team needed to help him win some games. And nobody's asking him to help carry this team a long way, but if he can be consistent enough to give the Clippers 25 points, 24, 25 points a game while Kawhi and PG is out, well, then that's really good because he definitely has the capability of doing it. I mean, I've seen him score 20 plus points in a lot of games with Kawhi and PG on the floor. So, I mean, I know he can score 20 plus points without them on the floor, especially if he's taking the bulk load of the shots, which I believe he will be, especially with Reggie Jackson possibly still being out. Even when Reggie Jackson returns probably in the next couple games, hopefully, Marcus Morris still should have the green light in regards to that. But that's my point. Personally, I think whoever's the hottest that night, whoever's got the hot hand, that's who Ty Lue should go with. Because honestly, this team is built around a system of building up all his players to be confident enough to be fearless in moments when they're needed most. And if that's the notion that Ty Lue sets, if that's the type of trust he has in his players, well, if Brandon Boston's on fire, then let him keep shooting it. Give him the green light. If Luke Kennard is on fire, give him the green light. Let him keep shooting it. You know what I'm saying? It's by committee right now. And that's the way the Clippers got to look at it. You have to run this offense by committee. Of course, you could run it through Marcus Morris, but like I said, if he's going through one of his dull moments, and he's, being inconsistent again and not delivering, you have to try to look elsewhere on the team, see who else can contribute. That's just the way it is, because it's got to be by committee right now, because you don't have the star power that you would have if Kawhi and PG are there. Even if one of them is there, you have way better chance of winning than without them, of course. So right now, like I said, it's by committee, it's by demand. Whoever got the hot hand, that's who Ty Lue should go with. That's who should have the green light that night, and that's pretty much how they should play it. Of course, as I said, you could run the offense through Marcus Morris because he's the next man up in regards to taking the bulk load of the shots, I believe, not unless Ty Lue has another answer that nobody knows about. But I mean, hey, he's definitely the next guy up when it comes to that, just because of who he is to the team and what they think of him and the money they're paying him. Actually, that definitely attributes to that as well. So you got to throw that in there. But I definitely think the Clippers, in this situation right here is so tricky, because being the 6th seed and only 1 or 2 games away from the 8th seed, knowing that you have an opportunity to still stay in that path right there to ascend, but injuries plagued you, that's demoralizing when a team is actually in a situation the way the Clippers are. They already were depleted without Kawhi Leonard. That's a huge loss right there. So now you have PG going out there doing his thing, trying to help the team as much as he can and everything, and now he goes down. So it's like, man, the mental of the Clippers have to be really, really down right now, but the spirits are going to have to stay as high as possible because it's still a long season to go and they still got time to rectify a lot lot of things, just get healthy as quickly as they can. And like I said, hopefully they don't go on too much of a losing streak in this little section or this little time frame right here where they can kind of stay afloat. Because, even if Paul George comes back and they're like 5-6 games under 500 or something like that, it's hard to fight back and fight through that. It is. Even though you will have a Paul George there who can help carry the team, but remember, he'll be coming off injury. So the rhythm, the timing, everything is off when you come off of injury and don't play basketball for a while, because the game just doesn't stop. It keeps going without you. And that's just something that's just the way the NBA has always been. So, and like I said, Paul George is a streaky shooter, a rhythm type shooter. So unless his streakiness is on, his rhythm is there, he can find himself struggling a lot of games too, even when he comes back, just as he does, or just as he did before he got injured. That's why you see Paul George, a lot of times he'll have 30 points, but it'll take him 28 shots to get it, because he's a streaky type shooter. He's not really like a rhythm, or should I say a natural shooter. He's not like a Stephen Curry or something like that. He's just a rhythm shooter, a streaky shooter. So, until he gets his rhythm, even when he comes back, the Clippers still might suffer some. So it's like you have to find a way to stay afloat and kind of keep this team, somewhat near that path of being in the playoff picture, because that's where the Clippers need to be. They need to, if they really want to make a run, because at this point in time of the season, I don't know if the Clippers are going to make a trade, or they're just speaking about it, or it's just speculation, but nothing has been done up until this point. So you really don't have any other big star options. And like I said, if Marcus Morris is your guy that has the green light, well, in that situation, most people will probably say you have a lot to worry about, because first of all, he's inconsistent, with the other two players on the floor, and he's been inconsistent in some moments throughout his career, which most people probably would say, and he's not the type of person you can rely on. So if he's the person that got your green light, Clipper Nation might have something to worry about if that's the case. But at the same time, like I said, to me, everybody should just have the green light on the Clippers. Whoever's hot is hot. Collectively, do it by committee. As I said before, do it by, night by night, on a night by night basis. Take it day by day and try to figure out what you can to put something in place to at least help this team have an opportunity to win games, because they have a talented roster. They really do. So we're going to see how talented they are. It's going to be on full display now, because the guys who are sitting on the bench, who hasn't been getting playing time, who's just the cheerleaders, they're going to be out there in the games now, because they're going to have an opportunity to play, which is actually a good thing too, because it gives the other guys on the team an opportunity to go out there and show what they got. And then on top of that, it shows, that Ty Lue is going to not only allow them to, play in the game because he needs them, because other players are down, but he's really going to try to see what type of talent, what they can bring to this team, what they can offer. And that's a good thing with a coach like Ty Lue, because he'll definitely give you a chance in big moments in playoffs if he see that you have that fearlessness in you and you're ready to ascend and take it to another level. And it's always good to see other players on your team, what they look like and how they play and how they can contribute and everything like that. So it's always good to have everybody on the team feel like they're contributing too, because it makes the team more well-rounded, makes the team more understanding of the process, and it lets everybody know that, hey, I can step in and contribute as well, because I've been given an opportunity before when other players were down, and I capitalized on it. So it's nothing for me to go do that again. And see, that's what builds confidence in the younger players on the bench who never play, or who never get any playing time, or who's basically the cheerleaders on the bench, and plus whoever else they might sign to a 10-day contract or whatever they might do. It gives them more opportunity to see what they have and see what they need to do to going forward to, help them be a better team all the way around, because that's what the Clippers are trying to do. That's their MO. They're trying to be the most well-rounded team in the NBA. That's their strategy. If they could plug in somebody off the bench who can come in and play substantial minutes and surprise the other team by giving them good flow on the offense and defense, that makes the opposing team more weary about what the Clippers are coming at them with. So, I mean, when you have moments like this where superstar players go down and other players get opportunities, you really see what you have in your whole team and everybody in its entirety, because now everybody on the whole roster is probably going to play in a real NBA game instead of having 2 or 3 guys on the bench who never even play. They just only show up in practice. So, I mean, that's definitely good in that aspect, but it's bad because, like I said, the Clippers are trying to get to a championship and trying to win one. And the only way to do that is to stay afloat in the seedings. And like I said, you know, even though it's not at the end of the season right now, it's still at a point where if you're in the 6th seed and you're 1 or 2 games above, 500, or maybe 1 or 2 games above the 8th seed, you could find yourself on a 5-6 game losing streak and find yourself 5-6 games under 500 trying to fight an uphill battle, uphill climb the rest of the season. It's just the way basketball is. You can't, you have to kind of stay out of those slumps as much as you can. And that's the tricky part to an 82 game season. You're going to have your highs and maybe having a 3, 4, or 5 game winning streak or something like that. But you also would have your lows where you go through a 4 or 5 game losing streak. The only trick to that is you can't have but so many in a season, because otherwise they weigh on the team. It weighs on their confidence and it weighs on everything with the team over time. So that's something the Clippers have to keep in their mind. And that's something that Ty Lue has to beat in these guys' heads going to these games every night, knowing they're without their 2 superstars. But I mean, they have to just have that fighting mentality, and everybody has to have the green light in their mentality. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I need to be assertive. I need to be aggressive. I need to not take unill-advised shots. I need to give us the highest quality shots we can, and I need to be aggressive on both ends. And that's the mentality every player on the Clippers roster has to have right now. Because when you don't have the 2 superstars that they acquired, in Kawhi and PG to start this whole operation, it's going to be really hard. And it's even harder because these other teams got their superstars, or at least one, and they're more talented than you are right now. So every little mistake the Clippers make is magnified times 2. But at the same time, they have an opportunity to rectify a lot of things. Hopefully Marcus Morris can, be consistent. Hopefully Reggie comes back, and hopefully everybody kind of collectively puts their hand in and chip in as much as they can, as much as they're supposed to, and as much as they're asked to. And hopefully they can at least eke some wins out, here and there, or at least enough to stay afloat, so this team can keep rolling and keep trying to move towards the direction that they want to move into, which is to be a contender, get healthy, and possibly make a run for a championship. But hey, that's my take on the situation. You leave any comments in the comment section. As always, let me know what you think. And hey, Cali out.